Quick heads up, if you're not a coach or consultant, this video isn't for you. If you are a coach or consultant, you've probably seen all kinds of stuff online about AI and the huge opportunities coming in 2026 and in the coming years. And here's the thing, most coaches are trying to add AI and automation to their business when they have sloppy onboarding, messy delivery, and chaotic workflows. But AI doesn't scale chaos. Systems come first. So in this video, I'm going to break down to you the 4 S's that I use to implement AI in a way that actually saves time, money, and mental bandwidth. The first reason AI fails is simple. Most coaches don't actually have systems. They have tabs, tasks, and templates, but they don't have a real system underneath it, which brings us to our first S, systems. So if you want to implement AI into your business, the first thing you need to get crystal clear clarity on is what is the actual customer journey of a client. And then once you know that, you can start to reverse engineer where do you need to add AI into your business in order to streamline the process and the experience of the customer as they process through your journey. So every customer follows this path right here. You have this track, and in the beginning, they're on this side of the track, and the goal is to drive them further until they reach this side of the track. Now, there are multiple touch points that have to happen before somebody goes from not knowing anything about you to actually becoming a client. And these are what we call checkpoints. So we have a few checkpoints here before they finally reach the end. In the very beginning, you're just now starting the relationship. So right here, we know that we're going to have things like lead magnets, right? So AI, we can implement here to automate the lead magnets. But from there, they're going to actually reach out to you and start communication, or you're going to reach out to them and start communication. So right here, we want to automate communication. And the reason we want to automate communication is because studies show and the data shows that the faster you respond to a lead, the more likely they are to actually become a client. I think the statistic is like, if you respond to a lead in the first 60 seconds, you increase the likelihood of them becoming a client by about 391%. But here's the thing, is we want to create this pattern in this experience of us communicating with our audience quickly, even before they officially become a lead, which means when somebody DMs you on Instagram, we want to actually have a conversation with them as soon as possible. If they ask for a lead magnet, we want to make sure that it gets to them immediately and that they're not having to wait hours before you jump onto Instagram or jump onto YouTube so that you can actually deliver them the lead magnet. So we want to automate that with AIs, and I'll go deeper into specific AIs that you can use to do that later. By the way, I created a free system already that breaks down the exact AI systems that you can implement into your business like in the next 24 hours, and it's 100% free. Is linked down below. It'll also show you how you can save between 35 to 50 hours per week, as well as like real costs between about $4,000 to $7,000 a month if you implement AI properly. It's linked down below. So we want to streamline these communications. Now, once we have a communication here, typically speaking, we're going to book them into a call, right? And then from the call, before they actually get onto a call with you, you're going to have this pre-call sequence. So at all these different touch points, we want to have AI. So now we understand that the first thing is you have to have a crystal clear customer journey. And within that customer journey, we know which parts in the system we want to automate with our AIs. Now, before I actually show you what AIs to implement and how you can start to strategically implement AI into your business, let me give you the next S, simple. So what a lot of people will do is they will try to build out their AI automation in their workflows, and they think that the more complicated it is, the better, because they think that having a sophisticated AI like workflow is something to be proud of. But the reality is that you just want to have a simple workflow that works. And the reason why you want it to be simple is, let's say, for example, you have all these different chains, right? So you have all these chains right here, and these are chains. I don't know how good they look, but these are supposed to be chains, right? So let's just imagine for a second, we have all these different chains and there's all these different points where something can break. If you have a bunch of complication, like a complex, really super complex AI system, well, if only one of these chains breaks, the entire chain breaks. If another chain breaks, guess what? The chain is fragmented. So what ends up happening is people build out these really complex AI systems, and then when they realize that they changed one freaking link in their email, all of a sudden their follow-up email stopped sending out, all of the automation stopped being sent just because something broke in the chain. So what we have to understand is that when you integrate AI into your business, you don't want it to be too complicated, because what ends up happening is one thing changes, one variable changes, and the entire system breaks. So we want to make sure that we keep it as simple as possible. That way we can easily identify what broke in the chain and we can easily go in and fix it. But you can't do that if you overcomplicate it. So we want to keep our AI usage as simple as possible and effective as possible. We want it to be lean and mean. The third S is strategic. Now, throughout this entire process, we're being very strategic. But what I mean by strategic is that most people, when they try to use AI, they think that if you just go to ChatGPT, that all of a sudden you have this AI, it's already been built, so we're just going to use the AI. No. The way you need to use AI in your business is you need to strategically train each AI to do exactly what you want it to do. If you don't train it properly through prompt mastery, your AI will not be properly informed. So here's a super simple tip. When you're actually training your AIs, instead of just prompting it with text, give it tons of context. For example, with ChatGPT, you can record a 30-minute audio note, just like record multiple 10-minute audio notes and give it all the context around your business, all the things that you're looking to achieve. Give it context on your vision, your brand, the core principles of your business, your brand colors, give your backstory, give absolutely everything. And you want to also prompt it by telling it, what are the brand guidelines? What are the things that you will not stand for? What are the things that you do stand for? Do you have any polarizing opinions it needs to be aware of, so that it can actually create content around that fits into your brand messaging, your brand promise, your brand feel, right? Now, I know that this sounds basic. We'll get further into how you can actually implement these things at a deeper level in a second. But if you don't understand these principles of AI, nothing matters. And that's where most people go wrong. So when it comes to prompting AI, for example, you trained ChatGPT, you trained Claude. And then once they're both trained, something that most people don't do is you test them against each other. So for example, if I'm creating a document or I am reviewing something, I will take the contents that ChatGPT gives me and I will strategically send it over to Claude. I'll paste the exact prompt that I gave ChatGPT. I'll paste the responses from ChatGPT. I'll send it over to Claude, and then I'll have Claude evaluate the quality of the response. And then what'll happen is that Claude, a completely different system, will evaluate the quality of the response and then also give me strengths, weaknesses, and its own unique insights. I will then take that information and I'll send it over to Notion AI so that I can combine ChatGPT's response, Claude AI's response, and then I can organize it using Notion AI. That way, the most actionable things I can walk away with. I can take the information from ChatGPT and Claude, send it to Notion AI. I can create tables. I can organize to-do lists, action items. I can send that off to my team. Of course, I also go in and I manage it, and I add my own personal information, but it's like you have to strategically know how to use the AIs cohesively. Now, another example, for example, is if you're creating a thumbnail on YouTube. Well, if ChatGPT has no context about your brand feel, your brand promise, what you stand for, it doesn't understand any context about your business, ChatGPT won't be able to help you create a thumbnail that's actually premium and aligned with your business. For example, if you don't want to be one of those people doing this stupid freaking YouTube face, and instead you want to actually look like a human, it's like ChatGPT needs to know you don't want to be looking dumb all the time, right? But here's how I actually use ChatGPT to help with thumbnail ideation and titles and YouTube and keyword research, is that you go over to Pixels. There's an AI called Pixels. By the way, this is all in that free AI guide that I mentioned before. But you go to Pixels and you can actually recreate thumbnails. So you can go to a bunch of viral, like let's say that you like Sabri Subi. You can go to Sabri Subi, look at his thumbnails. You can paste that into Pixels and train Pixels to create thumbnails that are similar to Sabri Subi's. Then you can take the content from you can take those thumbnails that Pixels creates. And what I'll do is I'll actually take the thumbnail from Pixels and I'll upload it to ChatGPT and say, recreate this in my brand like style. So then what'll happen is now ChatGPT has a stronger basis of the type of thumbnail that I'm going for. And you upload it to ChatGPT and it will do like mind-blowingly good thumbnails. And that right there can save you hundreds of dollars, because thumbnails used to cost hundreds of dollars. They still do. But if you're a wise, savvy AI implementer in your coaching business, you don't have to worry about that. You just need to know how to properly use AI to streamline your process. So you want to be strategic. The next final thing that we want to do here is be streamlined. So Everything that we do in our business, we want to be as streamlined as possible. In the past, people had to hire a content editor and a VA just to get a basic coaching business to grow and scale. But nowadays, you can actually replace a lot of external VAs with simply a savvy use of AI. So we want to streamline the entire process. Now, one of the things that we want to implement, going back to the customer journey that we mentioned here, in this customer journey, we want to make sure that we are automatically email follow-ups, reminders. We want to make sure that we are automating certain forms of communication. We want to make sure that we're automating the lead magnets that we send out. That way people get them immediately. We want to automate the communications that people experience before they get onto a call with us. All this is streamlined AI integration. But what I mean by streamline it is the entire business, we want it to be as lean as possible. We want the process from when somebody knows nothing about us to when they actually become a client to be as simple and crisp as possible. And the only way that you can do that is by making sure that the AI is constantly pushing people down the pathway, which is why we have to be super clear on what is the customer journey before we actually start implementing AI. Because if your onboarding is terrible, you can improve it with AI, but it's better for you to already know very crystal clear what is the onboarding process. And then you can use AI to streamline the process. That way it can be more efficient, more pleasant for your buyers, and ultimately reflect more positively for your brand. So with that being said, if you want a full deep dive on what are the actual AIs that you can use and how you can actually implement them, I created a full free guide. Just go ahead and click that. It's linked down below and implement it. This is the next thing.